Hey guys, it's Tyler from Peregrine, and we're back with another episode of Thank God It's Happy Hour. This week we're going over a type of drink that you need to know, sours. So let's get into it. The origin of the sour is a little bit muddy, and people have been making cocktails with a sweet, a sour, and a spirit component for probably over 150 years or more. Some argue that it comes from the sailors' drink grog, which was a mixture of alginated water and rum, and if you were a good boy, you could have a little bit of lime to help it down. Grog was purely for functional purposes, as the water on boats generally, like I said, was full of algae, didn't taste very good, and could get you very sick. So by adding rum, and again, if you were lucky, a little bit of lime, it became definitely a lot more drinkable. The first recorded reference to a sour appears in the 1860 book by Jerry Thomas, The Bartender's Guide. The sour in general starts with three types of ingredients. There's going to be a spirit, there's going to be a citrus or sour component, and there's going to be a sweet component, usually in the form of simple syrup. To start, we're going to make a basic whiskey sour because it is sort of the classic. The ratios that I've committed to memory and that I find work well is going to be 2 parts of whiskey to 1 part sour to 1 part sweet. So let's go ahead and mix one up. I'm going to start by juicing our lemon. We're going to go for about an ounce of lemon juice. And we can mix all of the other ingredients in the short cup of our shaker. So we're going to add an ounce of our lemon juice and an ounce of simple syrup. This is a good amount of simple syrup, but it is the only sweet element really in the cocktail. Bourbon's a little bit sweet, but you know what I mean. If you like it less sweet or more sweet, you can definitely play around with that ratio to suit your taste. And finally, we're going to add our 2 ounces of bourbon. And this is a cocktail that some people serve with egg white, some people don't. I really like adding the egg white because I find it adds sort of a little bit more of a festive mouthfeel to the drink and definitely elevates it above, you know, just lemonade with bourbon in it. So we're gonna add our egg white. Perfect. And like a lot of cocktails with egg white, we're going to dry shake this guy first, which basically just involves shaking it without ice for about 10 seconds. And what this is going to do is just combine all of the ingredients a little bit better and make sure that our egg white makes the foam that we're looking for. This is also a place where the drink likes to burst out of the shaker, so make sure you have it properly closed. And now that we're done dry shaking, we can add some ice and shake this guy up for real. This is a cocktail that I like to shake a little bit more than I normally do because that foam just adds such a nice element to the base drink. And because we have all that nice foam, we're going to strain this into a rocks glass. You could also use a Nick and Nora glass or a sour glass here, but I find the rock glass works just fine. And there you go. Some people would add a little bit of Angostura either to the base drink or right on top of the foam, the way I like to do. But the book says to just leave it plain, so let's give it a taste. This is a whiskey sour. So it's definitely a little bit simple, but it's very balanced and pleasant. The whiskey sort of adds a sort of pleasant biscuity sort of flavor. So yeah, this is definitely one of my preferred cocktails that I make all the time. It's very simple, but very balanced and also very flavorful. You know, you get the lemon, you get the little bit of sweetness, but it's more than just like a lemonade flavor. I find that bourbon adds a sort of toasted, almost like biscuity flavor, which it doesn't make it taste like a baked good or anything, but it definitely gives it that sort of inflection and is very delicious. The egg white is nice. I find it delivers the sort of aromatic first flavors of the cocktail in a really nice way, but doesn't really like get in the way or make it thick or anything like that. One of the variations that I like to do with whiskey sour is just add a mark of Angostura bitters right on the foam. And again, I find that the foam will carry those aromatics to your nose and mouth in a very nice way, and also just adds that extra layer of flavor to the cocktail. So yeah, with the bitters, it's very nice. You get that sort of, again, that biscuity lemon, almost like a lemon cookie kind of idea, but with that little bit of extra complexity from the bitters. Yeah, I mean, it's great. If you don't know what to order at a bar, whiskey sour is definitely a very safe, easy drinking. You know, everyone loves a whiskey sour, so. But we're not here to argue that. We're here to sort of explore the wider world. So let's whip together one with Pisco. So a sour cocktail, as it sort of exists as a real relationship between ratios of ingredients, is very versatile and easy to customize. You can really customize the sour, the sweet, or the spirit element and get a very different cocktail. To show that, we're going to whip together a Pisco Sour. Pisco is a South American brandy. The one we have here is from Peru, Demonio de los Andes. So it's a traditional style of Peruvian Pisco. The origin of the spirit, like the Pisco Sour, is shrouded in mystery. Both Chile and Peru produce Piscos, but the qualities of the spirits vary a little bit between countries. We're using a Peruvian Pisco, which is going to be a nice, fresh, balanced Pisco, traditional sort of manufacturing process, so I think it's going to be a perfect example for this cocktail. The rules surrounding Pisco in Peru are a little bit tighter than they are in Chile. It can only be produced in 5 coastal regions from 8 types of grape, and can only be distilled once. So much like mezcal, especially Joven mezcal, it is very much like a fresh spirit, and really you only get one shot at distilling it. So there is a little bit more, artisanal input that's required to make a really nice Pisco, especially one from Peru. This also means that Peruvian Pisco is definitely a unique product because you're not worried about manufacturers watering it down or adding other flavors. It is really a expression of the place that it comes from, and I think that's really special, so let's go ahead and mix one up. To make a Pisco Sour, the ratios that we used from earlier are going to be the same, but we're going to use lime. So let's start by juicing our ounce of lime juice. There we go. And everything else can be assembled in our short cup. We're going to add our ounce of lime juice, minus maybe a couple drops, and grab our simple. We're going to do 3/4 in this one, because the Pisco, I believe, is a little sweeter than the bourbon. And from there, we're going to do 2 ounces of our Pisco. Perfect. And like the whiskey sour we did before, we're also going to use an egg white for much the same purpose. And there we go. Like before, we're going to shake this guy dry first. And now we can shake up with our ice. And same as before, you could serve this guy in a sour or a Nicanora glass, but we're just gonna stick with our rocks glass for simplicity. And unlike whiskey sours, Pisco sours are often topped with a little bit of Angostura, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. There we go, classic Pisco sour. Let's see how it tastes. So right off the bat, the first impression that you get is the aroma is a lot more full. You really get an impression of the Angostura, but oddly enough, it's overshadowed by the aroma of the Pisco. It's got sort of spice, there's fruitiness, it's very fresh. It almost reminds you of mezcal, but without the smoked element, which is really interesting. It's a very familiar scent, but I'm not necessarily sure where it's coming from. Ooh, yeah, and again, so the sours really in my mind are very balanced cocktails. That combination of sweet and sour and spirit is really like a very nice combination. And this one is definitely no different. I would say it's livelier across the board than the whiskey sour was. Both the aroma and flavor have a little bit more to offer than whiskey, which is very much like a nice change of pace. It's delicious. It's very fresh. You get almost like a juice quality, but not in a sweet way. It's, again, very balanced. It's really great. And then compared with the whiskey, yeah, like I said, definitely less of a nose. And I would say this one leans a little bit more like lemonade with spirit sort of vibe. It's definitely very much well integrated and well composed sort of cocktail, but you can sort of tell there's two phases. There's like a sweet lemon and then a whiskey component. Whereas this kind of blends together in a very nice way. Yeah, it's nice. It's got that sort of sweet herbal sort of flavor that some tequilas can have, but it's definitely not a tequila sort of flavor that it gives. It's very interesting. If you've never tried a Pisco Sour, I really recommend it because it definitely takes something that's very simple, doesn't really change the ratio or the ingredients that much, but really ups the ante in terms of both flavor and impression that the drink gives. So it's really delicious. Yeah, there you go. So there's a Pisco Sour and a whiskey sour, and the wide world of sours really is yours to explore by switching up any of these ingredients. You know, we could add a honey syrup instead of our simple syrup. We could do mezcal instead of this Pisco. You know, you can really change the ingredients how you see fit and come up with cocktails that are quite different and distinct from ones that may be close in terms of ingredients, but the end result is very unique and separate all its own. So that's very interesting and cool about the family of sours in general. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you like this sort of thing, you know, these spirit families you should know and these recipe videos, be sure to give us a like, comment, and subscribe, and otherwise we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Definitely this one.